Hello guys, welcome to the Dumbbell Devastation workout. What is this? It's essentially a full body HIIT workout using nothing but a pair of dumbbells. Yes, you heard that right. A full body workout using nothing but a pair of dumbbells. For those who are maybe struggling financially, students who do not have the financial means to buy the full gym equipment, all you need to do is go to your nearest sports store and buy a pair of adjustable dumbbells and 80 pounds of weight. By 80 pounds of weight, I mean 8 plates, 10 pounds each. Now over here, I begin the workout by training chest, and the very first exercise is the dumbbell fly. Over here, when I'm doing the flies, I'm not going all the way to the top until the dumbbells touch. What I'm doing is, I'm going 3/4 of the way until the dumbbells are not touching. In that way, I'm maintaining continuous tension on my pectoral muscles. You might see that when you do the dumbbell flies and if the dumbbells are touching at the top, it takes a lot of tension off the chest. At the top portion, if the dumbbells touch, there's literally no tension on the pecs. So your pecs are not contracting at that moment and they're getting temporary rest, which might sabotage the workout. I am doing the dumbbell flies with my arms bent slightly. This adds to the effectiveness of the workout. As I reach failure, I drop the dumbbells, rest for a couple of seconds, and once again, I perform a rest pause set. I do not change the weights, and instead I try to eke out a few more reps using the same weight. As you can see over here, very often, as I already said in my video regarding the Big 5 workout routine, what we perceive as muscular failure might just be a mechanical sticking point. So, try to crank out a few more reps, and then when you cannot simply do anymore, you feel that your pecs are burning, you cannot contract your pecs even when you reach the topmost position, you have reached failure. Always remember that throughout the dumbbell flies, you have to try and contract your pectoral muscles. Over here, I opted for one more rest pause set, but I couldn't do it. The next exercise that I go to is the dumbbell bent over row. Essentially the same as a barbell bent over row. But when you're pulling the dumbbells, try to pull the dumbbells by squeezing the muscles on your back. Do not just pull the dumbbells using your arms. Instead, your arms are the hooks which are pulling the dumbbells and, not the hooks, the chains. And these chains, think about it in this way, are attached to your back. As you contract your back, as a result of it, your arms might be moving up. Always try to keep in mind that you have to perform these exercises in a way so that you can squeeze the muscles, the target muscles. You need to contract them. You see, muscular contraction is what we are trying to achieve. We are not trying to get the weights up. You see, the amount of weight that you lift, the number of repetitions you do, it has nothing to do with training. Contraction of the muscle is the first thing that you need to keep in check. The weights, the repetitions, they're just stuff that come along for the ride. After that, after training my back, the next exercise which I move to is the dumbbell front raise. Some people prefer to do them unilaterally, but I prefer to do them bilaterally because it takes a shorter amount of time. And secondly, when you move both arms at the same pace, you're not allowing your muscles to rest and you're keeping constant tension on the muscles, and by extension of that, you're maintaining efficient time under load without any element of rest. But gradually, as you reach fatigue in this exercise, you might need to switch from the bilateral to the unilateral movement just in order to eke out a few more reps, as you see me do right now. After reaching failure bilaterally, I'm moving unilaterally so that I can get a muscle contraction on each of the shoulder blades even after reaching failure. I let the weights drop for a second and then I do another rest pause set in the same manner, first moving bilaterally and then, as I cannot contract my shoulders any further, I switch to the unilateral movement pattern. But over here, I can't even get the reps in a unilateral manner, so I can understand that I have reached failure. But wait, there's one more thing to be done in this particular exercise. Drop the dumbbells and then try to squeeze your shoulder blades without the aid of any weights. Try to squeeze them in thin air. Try to just contract your shoulder blades. When you see you can no longer do that, you will understand that you have achieved muscular failure and not just any sticking point. The next exercise which I moved to is the Dumbbell Shrugs. Now, as I was filming this workout alone, once again I've become a headless monster. What we may call, or rather what was represented in the movie The Legend of the Sleepy Hollow as the Headless Horseman. Here I am kind of the Headless Muscle Man. So once again, my apologies for the inconvenience. But over here, when you're doing the Dumbbell Shrugs, what you need to do is, you need to squeeze your shoulder blades. Do not focus on moving the dumbbells. Instead, focus on squeezing your shoulder blades against the resistance that is being provided. Try to do this exercise under full muscular contraction, and when you see that you can no longer contract or squeeze your shoulder blades against the weights, you will understand that you have reached muscular failure. It's easier to go to muscular failure on this particular exercise because over here there is zero place for any sticking point. At times you might feel the urge to raise the weight by using momentum by jerking your shoulder blades. Once again, please be advised to actually resist this kind of temptation when it arises. A rest pause set once again. Always squeeze your shoulder blades for this exercise. Do not just try to get the weight up. Getting the weight up has nothing to do with building muscles. Please keep in mind that the weight is something, it's just a tool that comes along for the ride. Nothing more than that. So on reaching failure on this exercise, I move to the next one. Now this one is funny because this is a squat using dumbbells. This is not exactly a squat per se, but rather, as you can see, a crossover between a squat and a deadlift. Very often, back in the day when I was a university student, I would make fun of my friends who used to squat using dumbbells. I would say that you're just making the exercise easier for yourself, but that's not the scenario. On trying to do this with dumbbells, see, previously I have done squats with barbells. This was my first time I was doing the squats with dumbbells. As I was doing this, I felt that even a pair of lightweight dumbbells can sometimes be more deadly than a barbell on your back. As you will see shortly, when I reached failure, I could not move any further. And as a matter of fact, I was totally devastated. That's from where I got the name Dumbbell Devastation. Notice here I'm just panting, totally panting. I can't get up. And I was the one who said that squatting with a barbell is easier. Look at me. That's the fall of pride that you can see over here. So those of you who might be having a back issue or a spinal issue, instead of shouldering a barbell, you can just do the squats with the dumbbells by your side, a dumbbell squat. I can promise you from my own experience that it can be way tougher than a classic barbell squat. So over here once again, since this one does not require a squat rack, and I do not need a spotter, I am able to take the squats to failure. So that's +1 for the dumbbell squats. They can be more effective than barbell squats, especially when you're training alone, because with the dumbbell squats, you can achieve full muscular failure. Once again, be very cautious when you move in the dumbbell squats. Move slowly under full muscular control and do not sacrifice form just to get in a few more repetitions. Once again, as you can see, this is the hardest variation of the squat that I have performed till date. So I'll need to do more of this to be more acquainted. The next exercise that I choose to do is the dumbbell bicep curl. So over here, once again, I prefer to work out in the bilateral manner. I'm moving both my arms together until I reach the first sticking point. Always, when you are executing this particular exercise, try to use a weight that allows you to get full muscular contraction, and so that you can move the weights in full control. Do not just struggle and get the weights up and drop them straight away. The eccentric part or the negative part where the weight comes down is just as important as the concentric or the positive part. As you can notice, gradually my arms are getting fatigued and I'm gradually approaching a sticking point where I can no longer move the dumbbells. But here I have an advantage over the barbell bicep curl. Here I can crank in a few more repetitions unilaterally. So I can get a little more work done for my biceps using dumbbells. So as I reach failure, I drop the weights, rest for a couple of seconds, and then I do another rest pause set with the same weight. So got the first one there. Struggling with the second one. You might see, I don't know how many of you will agree with me over here, but as you are doing a dumbbell curl bilaterally, you might feel that the weight is a lot more heavier than it actually is. So maybe there can be an element of additional resistance which needs to be explored. Once again, after reaching failure, I'm getting in some unilateral repetitions. And finally, as I can no longer move the weights, I drop them. Before I drop them, I perform a cheat curl variation. I just get the weights up somehow, I jog them up, and I control them all the way down to the negative. And when I'm unable to even jog the weights off, I know that my arms are totally toasted. Sorry, my biceps. The last exercise that I do over here is the dumbbell tricep overhead extension. Very often it's called the granddaddy of all tricep exercises. So here I have chosen a weight that's slightly heavier than the ones that I was using for the dumbbell bicep curl, and over here I'm trying to get the weights all the way down to the back of my neck, and then I'm moving them up under full muscular control. Same mechanism here, and this is one of the exercises where you can reach a sticking point before you reach muscular failure. Why? Because there's some amount of stress on the shoulder blades apart from the triceps, and what might happen is you might feel your shoulder blades giving out even before your triceps do. So in that case, try to hold the weight statically as I'm doing over here. Try to do a static hold and try to move the weight slowly once again. As I can no longer move the weight, I drop the dumbbell once again and get ready to do a rest pause set. By now I'm pretty fatigued and it's taking me some time to recover before I can move. But over here what I can see is that more than my muscles, I am reaching something which we may call cardiovascular fatigue. I am simply out of breath. So I pick up the weight once more for a rest pause set. Once again, I move the weight slowly as possible, under full muscular control. But as I reach failure, I find that it's getting increasingly difficult to move the dumbbell up. So what I do here is, I try to statically hold the weight. I try to perform a static hold, and when I can no longer do that, I just drop the weights. Please give this a try and let me know.